Welcome to NHL Tonight, first shift for Thursday, December the 19th, 2024. And it's a special day for me because I finally corralled and get him into the little lair here. Jason Demers.
I've been
waiting.
I've been trying to get on here. I want this.
Here you are.
This is when I'm in my prime, right?
I know,
After
you're right
my
in a nice
coffee.
little spot there.
Yeah, I got my sweater on.
You're looking good. The Abandoned Dunes thing going there.
Come
Very
on.
nice.
Come on.
I like it. I like it.
And I love working with you.
Well,
so
then,
awesome.
I'm enjoying this opportunity. So we'll have fun for the next hour, and we got our producer JD Lindbergh. He's another JD.
Oh no, I'm out of here.
Yeah, let's bring. There he is.
There
Mr.
can
Sunshine.
only be one.
It's so confusing having another JD in the bullpen and now working on the same show. EJ says, "Hey JD, what are we doing here?" And
I know.
both of us try and answer.
Try to answer.
I feel like I'm in the Highlander right now.
There can be only one. Yes.
There can be only one.
All right. Give a little plug out there to everybody who's looking for where we are on the YouTube.
For
Let's
sure.
go.
JD, it's nice to have you on the podcast here. We do upload as an audio-only podcast to YouTube. However, select segments, we upload those with video. You guys both very media savvy. Talking about what we're doing here with the podcast industry. So, yeah, we appreciate all the shifties out there who download and listen. Tell your friends.
Love that.
All right. So
On the
there it
treadmill,
is.
Whether you're on the treadmill, whether you're in your car.
Or anywhere.
Yeah.
You can, whatever you're doing.
Exactly.
You can check us out, so we appreciate that. Before we get to
Yes,
the
sir.
main topics, I do want to ask you, though, because I was thinking about this on the way in. We got a couple of days here before the Christmas break. You played for a long time in the league. What is that like for players as, you don't want to get too far ahead of yourself, but you are thinking about a break?
Yeah, I mean, I always loved it. It was a level of excitement. So I'm like, I got a couple days off. I'm going to see family. So you really wanted to put your best foot forward because, man, you don't want to go into that break on like a losing skid,
loss.
and then the food doesn't taste as good, the wine doesn't taste as good. Being home with family, you're kind of in the back of your head. Oh, we got to get out of this funk that we're in. It's always great coming in with a couple wins because the thing that a lot of people don't realize is when you come out of that break, a lot of the time you don't really have a practice day.
That's right.
A lot of guys do morning skate and then you're playing a game because of the new scheduling
Timing,
stuff,
right?
the timing. So you want to put your best foot forward because you don't know how weird you're going to feel in that first game, how heavy you're going to feel if you put on a couple LBs. But I always loved it, but it was always tough for coaching staffs, I found, to try to wrangle all the guys. Like, come on,
Back
guys,
together,
stay focused. Because everybody's booking flights, they're talking to family. You're not really eye on the prize.
Totally
Focused, yeah.
All right. Well, it is coming up, so we'll see how things go for these teams over the next couple of days. Let's get to first things first. And we've got to talk about the trade that went down last night between the Rangers and the Kraken. Free Kakko!
Free him.
Free this man!
Free Kakko.
He is freed, and he is off to Seattle to become a member of the Kraken. They're in action tonight against Chicago. I'm going to figure he's in the lineup. We will try to figure that out as we go along here today. Rangers get back Will Borgen, right shot defenseman, 6'3". Happy birthday, Will Borgen. It's his birthday today. And then a couple of draft picks. I know that Will Borgen was, I know that a lot of you, like Ranger fans, are like, they want to comment on Will Borgen based on stats. Like, a lot of people just don't know who he is because he's he does guys who, as guys who play defense that don't put up points but just do their job, that are physical, that play with bite. They're really valuable players to a particular team, but they don't get a lot of attention all the time.
Well, two seasons at 20 points also. So it's like, it's not that he's
nothing.
Yeah, it's not nothing, obviously, but you want him to add that physical element. I think that's important. I think he got away from it a little bit this year and kind of him and Disco Dan might not have.
Yeah, you never know
on the
how
same
that.
page,
And remember, they
coaching
got Montour.
Yeah.
Last year, he was playing in a different role.
Way
This year now with
different, yeah.
Montour and Larson kind of ahead of him on the right side.
Yeah.
So I just know, again, a lot of teams were interested in this guy. So if the Rangers, if it doesn't work out, maybe they flip him and then you get picks back. I mean, it depends on the marketplace for what you get. But let's talk about Kakko because I think this is a great opportunity for him.
Huge.
I don't think he really ever had that with the Rangers for a number of reasons.
Yeah.
But and some of it is on him. I mean, at the end of the day, you got to produce, and it's been a struggle. But it's hard to produce offensive numbers when you're never on the power play as a second overall pick. And you're never really in those offensive situations. So it's a good chance for him now. You can see here from Kate Shefty, it's Kraken GM Ron Francis
find a
says,
spot from
find a spot.
That's
There
nice.
it is, right? And cited Eberle's
Nice.
long-term injury as the reason they started looking around. So it'll be interesting how things play out there, but he's going to get those opportunities.
Well, and listen, he comes in as the second overall pick. He's the guy. He's thinking he's going to be the guy. He's coming to a big market, and then you're not the guy. So I think it took him a while to find his game, find out he had to find his game on the third line. Obviously, I think that's going to help him long term because he learned how to be productive on a lower end line with lower ice time, lower minutes. So now when he gets those minutes, I think it's going to free him up. He's going to be like a kid in a candy store. But you could argue that Will Cooley, Hedl, Kakko line was the best line for the Rangers all season consistently.
Yeah.
So hopefully he brings that in. I think it's an exciting team. Seattle, I think there's a lot of skill guys that complement him well. Now it's just going to be able to go out and play. I think it's going to be like a deep exhale. Yeah. He's going to be like, okay, I can kind of be the guy now. I'm going to get more opportunities offensively. I'm in a smaller market. Now I'm not hearing all the noise, yelling. I don't have to, say heinous comments in the media. And I can just play my game, which is, being the second overall pick and scoring big goals. So I think it's going to be a great thing for him. I think it's going to be a good thing for Will Borgen, too, coming here. I think they need a guy with a little bite on the back end. You look to that 6 shots by Luke Shen last game, Shesterkin, and nobody did a thing. I think they need more toughness on this back end for the New York Rangers. So I think Borgen will slot in nice. And then obviously the Keandre Miller injury. But I like it. So Kakko, he's freed. Go enjoy that beautiful weather, that beautiful rain.
In Seattle?
In Seattle.
When it's nice there, it's nice.
Exactly.
And when it rains,
I love that, yeah.
Rain.
Yeah,
That's
it's nice.
the way it goes. It
nice in Winnipeg, too, when it's nice.
Well, but like Vancouver and Seattle are two interesting places because when it's nice there, it is spectacular. But they have those long rainy seasons that kind of correspond with the winter months, and it can be a little depressing sometimes. But he's got to be thrilled because he gets a chance. I mean, going back to early in the week when he was scratched, I just felt like that was just not, like I didn't understand it. Like, you're already missing Panarin. Like, why are you scratching Kakko, who, as you point out, I mean, he has been one of their more consistent players all year. Then he gets hot afterwards and kind of just lets it all hang out in terms of his feelings because this has been going on with this guy for years. I mean, playoff game, Eastern Conference final playoff game a couple of years ago with Gerard Gallant scratched in that moment. So I think for Kakko, he just kind of just bubbled over. We'll see how things go in Seattle. But that, you said it, second overall pick. That was the stigma with the Rangers, right? Yeah. But now that he's moving to another team, that's kind of gone now.
That's it.
Right?
Don't worry about it. Yeah, because he's got a little dirt on him, a little mud. People are like, oh, how's he going to respond? Now you can kind of relax and you don't have all those expectations. But, I mean, you said it with the mismanagement of this whole situation, this whole season by the Rangers. And I don't want to pile on. We've been talking about it ad nauseum with Drury. But the comments from Lavi talking about we got to get young legs in there.
Fresh legs in there. It didn't make any sense.
How old is he? He's under 25.
It was almost telling me that...
Didn't know what to say.
He almost was telling me that, like, I didn't want to do this. Somebody's telling me to do this.
Yeah, potentially.
And this is what I can say.
And then...
It didn't make sense.
No, and then he was frustrated, says a comment he doesn't necessarily... I don't think he truly believes, and didn't love about... I'm not the worst guy on the team. Yeah. Obviously, he's like, why do I keep getting scratched?
Yeah.
We've been the most consistent line. We've been great. We've been producing. Yeah. Why am I getting singled out?
No matter what I do, I can't win here.
Yeah. So I think that was him just being like, I'm done. That's over. Yeah. We can't fix this. And listen, they moved on from him. I think they got a decent return. Yeah. And we'll see how it pans out. I know Rangers fans were upset, but listen, it's the way of the world. And if Will Borgen comes out and buries somebody, game one.
I tell you what, that's the thing, is if he gets into a fight in the first week or so or gets into some physical play, the fans at Madison Square Garden will be excited because, they haven't been happy with what they've been seeing of late. So,
and if I'm
Will
Borgen, and I'm sure he's watching this right now, go get him. Hey? Go get him. Hey, Will, what's up? Happy birthday.
Yeah.
Just go bury somebody first shift, and then no one's going to talk about Kakko anymore.
Yeah, there you go.
That's it.
So they're the New York Rangers getting ready for the Dallas Stars tomorrow night.
Big test.
As you mentioned, no Keandre Miller. He's out with injury, so we'll see how things play out. We had a couple of trades around the league over these last couple of days, and here's another one. And, P.O. Joseph, he was a Penguin. He gets traded back there. But the thing is, like, he was with his brother in St. Louis, and, and now all of a sudden, there it is. There's Matthew Joseph by Instagram on the news and not looking all that excited. That looks like a pretty nice dinner going there.
I think it was those pictures, the Winter Classic pictures.
That might have
been. I don't know. I didn't love them necessarily. It was a little weird to me. The wheelbarrow and I don't know. Just come on.
Yeah,
come on now.
The Penguins had an injury. They have an injury to Pettersson. They've been playing some better hockey of late. They want to stay in the mix. They get a guy they know. P.O. Joseph is a really good skater, and that can come in and kind of fill that hole because Pettersson's going to be out for a while.
Yeah, and it gives them a little bit of added depth. But, I mean, I've loved the way Pittsburgh's plays of late. And two reasons on the back end especially. Matt Grzelcyk has been fantastic. And then the emergence of Owen Pickering, who's been able to eat up some minutes. He's playing with Letang now. I mean, I watched him the last couple games. Very smart, solid defensively, moves the puck well. So they're getting a lot of good defensive play where I think they had a little bit of a hole early on in the season. I think now they're spreading out the ice time a bit, which is better. And they're getting some good saves. I mean, listen, I think we all kind of thought, here we go again, they're dead in the water, and they've really wrestled this back. So hopefully they can stay with it, but sometimes the Penguins will go, and then another 9-game losing streak.
Maybe we can put that board up again. I just wanted to focus in on one thing here is like that penalty kill. I mean, the special teams are good. The 25.8. Remember last year with Carlson showing up there, you thought it was going to be good and it wasn't. So their penalty killing has been better in this stretch of 10 games, or their power
play has been better. Well, you know why? Matt Grzelcyk.
Well, there you go.
They've thrown Matt Grzelcyk out there.
And the goalies are better, right?
And the
combination, everybody feeds off each other.
And they're
scoring goals.
And that's the thing is they're not really. They need to get in kind of those scoring battles to win. They got to outscore their opponent, outscore their mistakes. So they're still giving up 3 a game, but they're getting those goals and they're getting offense and they're playing well together. And I think P.O. Joseph's just going to add to that depth, and he knows the system, understands how to play. And I think a familiar face sometimes is good to have back on your team.
Yeah, so the Penguins, in that Eastern Conference this year, it's wild, it's wacky. The Rangers, we thought they were going to be at the top. They're out of the playoffs right now. The Islanders, the Red Wings, you can see it there. The Flyers, they go up, they go down. Penguins move it up. The thing to watch is that the Ottawa Senators are playing really well, and Ullmark is playing really well. And if that continues, that's bad news for those teams chasing for a playoff spot, because I don't think the other teams that are on that board, maybe the Bruins, but even the Bruins have played better. So
I have a question. I want to ask you this.
All right.
I always love hearing your knowledge and insight. Okay. I feel like the Atlantic, it's kind of we are who they thought they were. This is those 3.
Yeah.
But Metropolitan, did you ever expect to start the season you'd see those 3 teams in that order?
Well, I thought that Carolina, they always find a way. Even though they lost players, they find a way. The Devils, I figured, would be better. I got to see their first games in Prague. They fixed problems. Markstrom is a reliable goalie. Allen is a good backup. So I thought they'd be better. The Capitals, I didn't anticipate. I liked what the Capitals did in the offseason, but I didn't expect that.
No, we didn't expect them to blow the doors
coming
off.
Into the year, you expected the Rangers to be in that group, not the Capitals. But the Capitals are there. I don't think they're going anywhere. So that's the good news. So I think the door is open for a bunch of teams. That's why I circle in on Ottawa. It's that last wild card maybe that might be the only ticket.
Yeah, because Tampa's low in the rankings, but they just haven't played as many games. They're off for a week, and they're arguably one of the hotter. Like they're playing some fantastic hockey.
They played good hockey almost from the start.
Yeah, they will. They'll be there, and they're in. So there's really that one spot I feel like is open, which kind of always seems like in the Atlantic, and it's Ottawa, Flyers, but you also have the Rangers.
You think Ottawa's real or no?
I'm still waiting.
We can't.
Here's the thing with Ottawa. They brought in Ullmark for a reason.
Yeah.
You're seeing a glimpse of that.
Yeah.
Like his past 8 games, he hasn't given up more than 3 goals. Like you're seeing that.
He's been excellent.
And that's the biggest thing they've been missing. If you can find that and bottle that up and have that over, if they can kind of at least have that kind of serviceable goaltending, I think they have enough talent up front that they'll get it done. So I still see them making a move. I feel like they go get somebody in the back end just to kind of shore things up a little bit.
Will Borgen.
Wow. Now. Oh, yeah, flipping for a first-round pick, right?
Maybe late. Well, you know what the thing is?
You tweeted that yesterday.
I did tweet that. You know what? People look at it first when you say that, they think, the 3rd overall pick. No. The teams that are looking for Will Borgen are teams that are going to pick late.
Yeah.
All I know is this. Going back to 21, David Savard was in Columbus. His numbers were similar in terms of they weren't good. He wasn't on a great team. Tampa Bay gave a first-round pick for him. Tampa Bay won a Stanley Cup and was probably happy to give them the 31st overall
he fit
pick
like a glove
that year. So you never know how it's going to play out. Let's talk a little bit about the Leafs because another win last night.
Yeah.
Joseph Woll, I thought, was terrific in this game because it was like shots were like 41-18, something along those lines. But there's the save right there. 2-1 right there. He makes the stop. We go the other way, and then it's Nylander with the goal. That all happened in about 15 seconds.
Yeah.
And the Leafs found a way to win. The third line was really good for them. The big boys were okay together. Wall played well. They're just finding ways to win.
They are, and I think the one thing with Toronto that's different from past years is they're getting that goaltending. We talk about Ottawa with Ullmark the past, 8 or 10 games. They're getting goaltending from not one but two guys. They've been searching for a two-headed monster in this. Now, obviously, Stolarz, hopefully speedy recovery. I think that's just a little cleanup of his knee. I think he'll be back quicker than 4 to 6. Okay. I've had that done to my knee, and I kind of know the surgeries he's had. I think.
But you're like a Superman-like figure, so.
I am yoked.
Yeah.
No, but I think Joseph Woll. I think they have this competition now because Woll probably came into this year fully expecting this is my net.
He was going to be the one.
This is my net. He gets hurt. Stolarz goes bye-bye, steals it from you. Now he has an opportunity, and you heard him say, there was a little bit of audio of him talking. He said, it's going to be fun to be the guy and take the net, and everybody's going to lean on me. So I'm like, I like to hear that from a goalie that was probably a little upset not upset, but that he lost the net.
Well, he was hurt, and
he was hurt, and then he got usurped.
But I think these two guys, I think it works out well because both these guys have shown in their career that they're a little bit injury prone. I mean, Stolarz has had challenges.
That's the only thing that worries me.
Wall has had challenges, so it's good that they have each other.
Yeah.
I saw last night early in the game, Colin Blackwell comes in really hard at the net, and the Leafs are kind of like for me, I'm grabbing him and just throwing him into the boards because this is our bread and butter right now.
Oh, yeah.
But at the end of the day, they got to hope both these guys are going to have to play, is what I'm saying. As we've seen so far, so good.
Yeah, and, to tie a bow on the offensive side of it, I think moving Nyes down to that second line has really opened up some things. And I think, that first line's good. They're going to score, and they're going to put the pucks in the net. But I like the balance in the second and third line. I love that McMahon and Domi together. I think it's a good mix.
And Nick Robertson, that was a great
comes in.
Three goals last night, that line. And I would just say about, they put together I call the money line, right? Like when they come on the ice, Nylander, Marner, and Matthews, they just be throwing money over the glass, right? It'll be funny. But at the end of the day, I think Craig Berube, it's no lose for him. He's looking at different combinations. You know how long the season is. I mean, you want to keep the guys loose and fresh. Now they're getting a chance to play with each other. They were on the ice for a goal against last night early in the game. They didn't play particularly well in the first period together. And then this is the goal that Matthews sets up to Nylander. But Berube didn't just go away from it.
No.
He stayed with them. And I think that was real. I think Craig has made a lot of smart moves in Toronto so far this year.
Well, and because the kind of start they had, and now that they're where they are in the standings,
little cushion.
You can make some moves because you have to in the playoffs when you're going for a Stanley Cup. You're not going to have all four lines going. People are going to get hurt. You have to see what you have. You have to see what fits with what chemistry. You can't just go into the playoffs after playing the same four lines and be like, oh, crap, they're not scoring. You got to see that, okay, if Nyes isn't going, I can throw him on the second line with Patch. They can just be a bruising. There can be a bruising duo. Or if, Amats isn't going, I can at least throw him with Marner, Nylander. This works because then you don't really have as much time to waste games in the playoffs. Yeah. So you got to find, Edmonton, they know, you see within Edmonton, they have that, nuclear bomb line where you just throw them together, and when everything's going wrong, they're going to get you some points. But I like what they're doing in Toronto. Just find what works, find who's
what are our
options.
Who.
Yeah, what do we got?
What do we got here? And even the injuries they had, I like the fact that Grabenkin came up, Minton came up.
He's a great depth player.
We're looking, now because for the general manager there, he now has an idea how those guys look at the NHL level, at least in a little bit of a picture. And if they want to make a move and have to extract somebody, they know they have somebody underneath that can maybe fill in. So I like all that. One quick thing. Elliot Friedman had a tweet today about the goaltending situation there. Yes, he did. And he said, it sounds like Matt Murray time in Toronto, readying to make his first NHL appearance since April 2023. Now, Matt Murray, former Penguin goalie, that was a cup winner with the Penguins, went to Ottawa, has bounced around, has had a lot of struggles. There you can see the career number there. He's been in the minors. Now, he had a shutout for the Marlies last night against Scranton. And I'm not a big Hildeby guy right now. He's a big goalie. Yeah, the Hildebeest. I'm not. I think that, he needs more time to marinate in the minors. Murray could be a real important piece here because as a third guy, we just talked about Stolarz and Wall. Injury issues.
3 injury guys.
I'll be really, you have 3 of them now, but sometimes that's what you need. And so I'll be curious to see Murray coming in. They have back-to-back Buffalo and the Islanders, in Buffalo at home against the Islanders this week, and then they go Saturday or Monday night against Winnipeg to the break. Like, I'd be really excited to see how Matt Murray performs because they may need all hands on deck with this group.
Or do you think Murray comes in, plays well, and it's a trade piece? Or do you think you want to roll with 3, especially with the injuries?
Well, I don't think they would roll. I think that, when Stolarz is back and if Wall is, those guys are your guys, I think, right now.
Yeah.
But if Murray could come in and give you some games, now all of a sudden you're right. He has a little more value, and he's another guy that you got within your group that you can turn to if you need to.
Yeah, and I think, he could go down in the minors and if he needs to and play out once he's healthy and once Stolarz is back. But I don't know. I think Toronto, the good thing and the best thing I've seen from Toronto for the last few years is they have a lot of options.
Yeah.
To tweak the lineup, which they haven't had. They've kind of been like, this is what we're stuck with. We got to make it work. So I'm still waiting. I'm always with Toronto. Wait till the playoffs start, and we'll see because I know they'll be fine. But it's good that they have this wiggle room now to figure out what's going on. So.
All right, I'll ask you the one question, then we're going to bump out to break. Sorry, JD, the other JD. Here's the question: JD. He's one of the best.
No, I know he's the best. That's why I'm saying he is the better.
All right, stop with the flattery and ask the question.
I think that was clear. Here's the question. All right. Get off the screen. Thank you.
Did he pop up?
He popped up. All right, here it is. Leafs. I think they're more contender than pretender this year than they've been in the last several years. Where are you on that?
I keep saying, wake me up when April ends is my little quote from Green Tape, but I think this is... They have more things that they haven't had in the past, if that makes sense.
So you're agreeing with me?
I agree that they're more contender than pretender this year. Yeah. Now, are they going to slap me in the face like they've done the past few years? Probably.
Yeah.
But as of right now, I can say they are more contender than pretender,
I
for
like
sure.
That. All right. Well, JD, now let's get out of here. Take it away. We got Dan Rosen, the super. You think it's not gonna get any better, JD?
No, it's only going down.
It's only going downhill from here. Dan Rosen with the Super 16. That's next. It is time for the Super 16 presented by Enterprise, and that means our friend Dan Rosen from NHL.com here to try to get through the segment without getting too much criticism. Hopefully he will have brought a good list for us today. Last week, I can tell you this, big problem.
Wasn't good?
It was big problem.
No. My podcast rival.
There it is.
I thought it was good. Yeah, that's right.
Rivals.
We keep pumping your podcast.
All right.
Start pumping ours.
All right.
Oh, we're trash talking yours.
All right.
Yeah,
Listen, this podcast is way better. All right, let's get to your list. Let's start with 16 through 13.
All right, 16. I had the Canucks. I was going to move them up, but then they blew the lead against Utah, so they stay at 16, 2-2-2 in their last 6. Utah gets, they're right there. They get in, not ranked last week. They're 8-2-2 in their past 12, 5-0-1 in their past 6. Got to put them in. Obviously, Ottawa winners of 6 of 7, 4 in a row. They get in. And the Boston Bruins beat Van and Calgary after losing to Winnipeg and Seattle. You know what? They can finish out a tough 5-game trip with a win against Edmonton. Go 3-2 on that. It'll be pretty good for the Bruins.
I think the Bruins have recovered a little bit on this trip, so I'm happy. But, the Ottawa Senators, Linus Ullmark has given up nothing. They're rolling along right now. I would probably have them a little higher.
Well, listen, I had the Bruins in last week. They've been pretty good. They've rebounded. They've rebounded on the trip.
It's not about the Bruins, right, JD? It's not about the Bruins.
No, we're talking Ottawa here, but I think Ottawa.
Talk Ottawa.
I hate saying this, but they deserve more than that.
Yeah.
And Ullmark has been everything as advertised and more, especially the last 8 games.
Yep.
And I just feel like Boston hasn't done enough yet
to stay ahead of them, or to be ahead of them right now, based on where Ottawa's playing right now. Yeah.
Listen, Ottawa's playing well. They've won 6 of 7. The only thing I'll throw out there is of those 6 of 7, they've beaten one team in my Super 16. And that's Carolina.
Okay.
So the schedule's been kind of soft.
Okay. For Utah? I like Utah a little. I would almost flip Boston and Utah.
Ooh.
And I would
Utah that
I would
much?
like that list.
Yeah.
I do. I am a little biased, but I've watched them a lot this year too, and I just like what they have a lot more than the Bruins.
Good win last night.
And they've beat some big teams too.
All right, let's move on to the next part of the list because we need to get you moving here. You're a busy man, as you like to tell us.
I'm a busy man. All right, so I got the Tampa Bay Lightning. They move up 3 in a row, 5 of 6. The Dallas Stars. This was a tough one for me. They lose to Toronto. I drop them. It's not that they're playing poorly. They beat Washington, but you look at some of these other teams, and they're playing well. So Dallas kind of just kept going down. Toronto has to stay ahead of them. They beat them, right? So they're there. Toronto's won 4 or 5. They drop a little bit. Carolina stays where they're at. They've won their past 2 games. They're at Washington on Friday. That's a big one. So it's hard in that stretch right there because I like Dallas and Toronto a lot. Yeah. But I still drop them because there's one team in the top 8 that's not playing well, but I couldn't hammer them completely out.
You know, the Leafs, though. The Leafs
they've
won
higher.
3 or 4.
They gotta be higher.
And then you drop them 3 spots. I don't get it.
I know. Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. Because once you can flip it to the top 8, who do you drop out of the top 8? And you'll see one team probably that you say, I drop them out. But that team also has been pretty darn good all year, and maybe just going through a little bit of an inconsistent stretch. You'll see it when I get there.
All right, let's get to it. Then.
Yeah,
let's get to it.
Let's
get to the meat.
So it's the team right there at 8. The Minnesota Wild.
I agree with that.
I'm with you on that.
But look at it. They've played Florida, Edmonton, Vegas. I mean, the schedule's been hard. They haven't played well. But is this little inconsistent stretch enough to hammer them right out of the top 8? I don't see that. Maybe if it continues, yes. I mean, LA's got to be ahead of them. They've beaten them a couple times. LA's lost 2 or 3.
You rectified that from last week.
rectified it
you
from
did,
last
but
week.
the Kings dropping 3 spots?
Well, they've lost 2 or 3. They lost to New Jersey and they lost to Pittsburgh.
Listen, I do like that, the unbiasedness, and you're very, very calculated with this. Yeah, the Wild.
Trying to be calculated.
I agree with the Wild. I think I know they played some tough teams
right now.
But they were so high for so long, and I think this recorrection is good for them.
Yeah.
And, they've struggled a little bit with injuries and things like that.
Toronto's got to be ahead of them, though, don't
Toronto, I think Toronto's better than many right
now,
or at
this
least
moment.
But, the one we didn't talk, the Carolina, I'm a little unsure. I still really like their game, but, for them it's always
steady, though. They're steady.
That's it. They're steady 9.
Very steady. So they stay at 9. Like, they're steady. And then Edmonton loses to Florida, but they had won 5 in a row. And then Florida's got to stay ahead of them. They beat Edmonton. They beat Minnesota. And so, listen, I mean, it's Minnesota's the one that the way they're playing, it would be easy to just drop them right out of that top 8, move Toronto up, move Dallas up. But then you just forget about everything that they've done this year, and I think that's unfair.
All right. Well, I don't know. I mean, I'm not going to forget about it, but again, this is a week-to-week fluid list, and it's been,
I can't just be
pretty fluid.
They got wiped out by Edmonton. They got wiped out last night by Florida. I mean, they lost another game in there to Vegas. So,
the way
it's time to drop them a little bit. Not to say
I dropped them 6 spots.
Well,
the way they lost was that's worth the slide.
The fashion in which.
But a 6-spot slide in a 16-team list, that's a pretty big slide.
It sure is.
Okay.
It is.
So, all right, let's get to the top 4. This is where you made the huge blunder last week.
Tippy top.
Yeah. Let's see.
Washington is at 4. Lost a couple. Lost their past 2. Didn't like how they blew it against Chicago. Stay in the top 4. They were 1 last week, so you're not hammering them out of there.
This is erroneous.
What? The New Jersey Devils?
The Jets.
Jets just lost to the Ducks last
night. The Jets, we're still worried about their 15-0 run.
5-2-1 in their past 8 games.
Yeah, but they haven't looked good.
In their past 8 games.
I don't think they've looked good.
Well, they look good against the Bruins when they spanked the Bruins.
But it's the Bruins.
Yeah, it's not like they're top
13.
team.
Who are 13.
New Jersey should be 16.
Oh, man. New Jersey gets the jump.
Bruins should be 16.
Vegas is at 1. They're beating all the good teams, too. Vegas is at 1. So you don't like the Jets. That's fine.
Well,
no, the Jets.
Let's not say we don't like the Jets.
I just think
you don't like the Jets at 2. You don't like them at 2.
Yeah.
No, I don't like them at 2. I like them I would have them probably at where the Oilers are, and I'd have the Oilers where the Panthers are. Panthers over there, because I do like the Panthers right now. I know they went on a little skid, but they are. You watched 5 minutes of the game they've played the last couple games. They're finding that rhythm.
Yeah.
But listen, you're doing fantastic though.
Thank you very much.
I mean, fantastic. I don't know if that's
so
a word that I would ever.
Hey, we break them down
right
and then we slowly build them back.
Build them up. All right, I like your thinking there, but But you got Vegas as the number 1. How do we feel about Vegas as the number 1 team? Now, remember, they were beaten by the Oilers.
Yeah, previous to that, they beat the Oilers, though. Not
yeah, but that was
they beat the Oilers.
was 1-0 when their goalie played really well. And the game they lost to the Oilers, or the Oilers beat them, was, I think, 6-3, where the Oilers ran up a big lead in the game. I mean, that matchup is always good. I love watching those two teams play because it's a kind of a fight of styles between some really high-end players, and you got McDavid and Eichel and the whole thing there. But, you know,
well, listen,
I love Vegas. I mean, I love Vegas. I love Florida. If we're doing the bigger picture, who can win the Cup, those are probably my top two. But right now, I don't know.
Vegas is 9-2-1 in the last month, and they've beaten Ottawa, Winnipeg twice, Edmonton, Dallas, Minnesota.
A lot of
beating big teams.
A lot of home, though. They're very good at home.
You got to win the games on your schedule, right?
I always like to. For me, like how I judge a team is a little bit more road. So that that Vegas flu comes hard and fast when you're out there on the road.
9-5-3 on the road for Vegas.
They started very porous.
Yes,
they've been better.
better.
They've been better. They come, but I have them as my 1-2. I think.
Okay.
I think that one I'm very much in agreement, and I like where the Caps are.
Yeah.
I think you're not putting them too high, but they're in that.
And they've had a couple. They've had a little bit of a. Backslide.
They've had to slide, but I think Vegas is your one. I just don't love the Jets where they're at.
Yeah.
And
how about the Devils? You move the Devils up big time. I mean,
they've allowed 68 shots on goal in the last 4 games.
Do you feel like
5 goals in the last 4 games?
Dan,
they're playing like the '95 Devils.
So let me just say, when you get
ask Dan, do you feel like the Devils are kind of that team for you that it's just going to be like this all year? Like they'll be down 5, up 5, just because they kind of play that game?
They do a little bit, but I think they're getting better. I think they're playing a little bit more of a structured game.
I agree with that.
It was like that at the start, but I think they learned they went through a stretch where they were winning 6-5, losing 6-5, and they've been a lot better since. Now they've got to continue it on.
Dan,
now they got to continue it.
You mentioned shots on goal. Explain to me again how many points you get each night when you get a lot of shots on goal.
Well, if you're Dallas, you don't get a lot, right?
Okay.
I mean, if you don't get a lot of shots on goal, you're Toronto, you beat the Devils 2-1.
It's about wins, Dan. It's about wins.
It is about
don't
wins,
come back to me with shots. Who had a lot of shots? I don't care about a lot of shots.
Right,
give me wins.
The reason the Devils moved up is because they're 3-0-1 in these games that they allow.
See, now you're speaking my language.
Come on.
Now you're helping me out a little bit
here.
Give
him a carrot.
Come on.
Oh, jeez.
All right. Listen, happy holidays.
You too. This is great.
I gotta come back. I just gotta come back and watch you two yell at each other. This is fantastic.
Dan, have the best. Have a great holiday. Happy New Year. I don't know if I'll see you because I'll be doing World Juniors. You'll be at Winter Classic. So hopefully our paths will cross somewhere along the line. But thanks for doing this today.
All right, guys. Have a great holiday, all right?
All right. There he is. Santa Claus himself.
He is.
Dan Rose.
Cole.
When we return, Vegas. Are we talking about Vegas next? No, we're talking. Yeah, we are. We're talking about them in the Canucks. That's next. I think that's next. Next. We'll be back.
Super 16 is presented by Enterprise. We're here to keep you moving forward, whether it's around the corner or around the world. Official partner of the NHL.
All right, let's take a look at the Thursday schedule around the National Hockey League. You can see there, Blues and Lightning, Devils and Jackets, Flyers and Kings, Penguins and Preds. By the way, Kings and Preds will meet in Nashville on Saturday afternoon. And we have it for you, the NHL Network Showcase game that I'll be calling
that's
with
you.
Stu Grimson.
What's Stu?
The big man.
The lawyer.
He's in the house.
Approach the bench.
He's in the house. 4 more games on the docket tonight. Senators looking to keep it rolling in Calgary. Bruins and Oilers. Canucks and the Golden Knights. And then the Avalanche and the Sharks. Mackenzie Blackwood against his former team. Think he plays tonight?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think he had it circled as quickly as
and how about the other side of that coin? Georgiev.
That's going to be.
He's
geared up. I mean, that guy took so much trash from everybody, ourselves included.
Yeah.
Trash on him bad.
And they are both playing tonight again from Kyle in research. So there you go. Let's talk a little about the LA Kings. They continue this road trip right now. They're in Philadelphia. As I say, they finish it up on Saturday against Nashville. But the LA Kings, I mean, I know they lost an overtime game to Pittsburgh the other night, but it's been a good road trip so far. You can see it right here. They got the wins against the Islanders and Rangers, blew the Rangers out on Saturday.
Yeah,
that was
ugly.
That was ugly. Lost in
watch.
overtime in Pittsburgh. Penguins have been playing better, but you can see it right here. I mean, the LA Kings, I didn't expect the LA Kings to be playing as well as they are, but here they are.
Yeah, I mean, and
no Doughty and no problem.
No Doughty, no problem. Quickly on Philly. I mean, they're 9-1-2 in Philly in their past. Like, they go into Philly and they win games. They win games.
Yeah.
But I honestly, when I saw this lineup to start the season, I said, what are they doing? I even went up. I saw Rob Blake at the Joe Thornton jersey retirement, and I said, I thought at the starting of the season you were nuts. I was calling for your head.
Former teammate.
I was calling for you as my first captain. I was like, it has just fit perfectly. We talked about before the show, finding the pieces that work within your structure, and everything has really worked very well. I think the Doughty injury has been the best thing to happen to them in terms of finding out what they have within that decor. It allowed Brandt Clarke about getting some more minutes. He was able to get confidence.
He's a player.
Well, he's a player, but he was gonna sit behind,
play less, exactly.
Play less, maybe not develop. This has allowed his development, and I mean, every metric defensively, they've been tops in the league, absolutely incredible. And you can credit their forechecking ability, their back checking, but I mean, I just think it's a combination of everything. The decor is very defensive minded. Yeah. They have a lot of the same player, Edmondson, Gavrikov, Mikey Anderson. It's like copy paste.
That's really true, yeah.
But it works, and then you sprinkle in Jordan Spence, who's been very good for them as of late, and Brandt Clarke, the young offense. Yeah. So you got those kind of older guys that tame them. And Kemper's come back, and he's been a revelation for him again. He's doing what he does well.
And Linnich was really good when he's been called upon this year. Yeah. So he's been a really helpful player. And Jim Hiller, give him credit, right? He comes in last year, interim. They name him the head coach this year. We're not sure where it's going. He loses Doughty.
I mean, you got to think they're keeping him here.
Well, he's their guy. They decided to go with him. But, that's one of those ones you never know how it's going to play out. And the interesting thing to me is they didn't love playing for Todd with the 1-3-1, and that was a discussion, right? Want to try to play differently.
They're begging for offense.
But the bottom line is they're still the same team. They play a lot of really strong defense. Is there a difference in the way they're playing now in terms of their structure or the system they play as opposed to what Todd was doing? Because the goal was the same, was to be really good defensively.
Well, giving Todd credit, I think the 1-3-1, even though they're begging for offense, they learned how to play defense, and now Hiller comes in, kind of puts a little bit of imprint of being more offensive. He wants the D getting up even more. You're seeing a lot of guys get up. You're seeing Gavrikov get in the rush, get breakaways. You're seeing Edmondson score some goals, which he's never been known for that. But they have that pedigree of how to play defense. They understand it now, and now you're adding a little bit of offense.
They're giving them a little more green light.
Yes, which I think is very beneficial. So, credit to Todd and that staff. They taught them for years. Now I think they stuck with it way too long. But now that you're kind of opened up a little bit, it's like, just imagine you're just getting you're freeing the offense. You're allowing these guys, hey, go run. You don't have to play as much defense. And these guys are like, oh, my God. But they still have in the back of their mind how to be smart, stay third guy high. And I just think they do a great job. They don't see, when you watch them, like, this isn't the fastest team. This isn't the most skilled team. But they just get it done. They wear teams down. They play well structured. They got some talent. They got a little bit of everything. And, up front, they have the Kempes and the Kopitars that are just...
And Kopitar just keeps
incredible.
going. Over 1,400 games, still going.
Adrian Kempe's got 11 goals in 14 games. Like, he is just...
He's an underappreciated guy.
Very underappreciated in this league,
because he's a very skilled player.
And he plays hard, blocks shots, he plays defense. He's very, very underrated, and I think he's, like you said, underappreciated guy in the league.
Yeah, I would just say something. I mean, you played for different coaches. Sometimes
I did, a couple of them.
But just sometimes guys, like Todd is a good coach, but I think he had been there a while. You lose sometimes, you go into a struggle and you can't find your way out of it, and the coach, the message is stale for whatever reason.
Yeah, and I do feel like coaching, it's the hardest job in sports to be able to adapt on the fly and change, because you know it works and you know what got you the job, and it's so difficult to be like, okay, I got to get off of this, because you just go, I'm dying on my sword, this is it, and you almost get stuck in your ways. You get stubborn, and you can't take an outside view and be like, okay, I might have to adjust. Maybe bring the guys and have a conversation. But okay, what are you guys looking for? And feel the pulse of the room. So it's a difficult job, and you've seen it more times than not now in this NHL, the coaching carousel. I mean, you get the head lopped off in 2 weeks, no matter what. So it's like it's very quick, and I do think his footprint that Todd left on the team, you still see parts of it, but Hiller's just come in and he's brought in a little bit more excitement, energy offensively. So it's worked out well.
Well, the
Rob
LA
Blake.
Kings continue.
Why would I doubt him? Why would I doubt him?
You shouldn't have doubted him.
The Godfather.
Plus, he'd give you that hip check into the boards. He could kill you.
Yeah, he would. He still looks like he could play.
He's a big man and a good guy. We like Rob Blake. Coming up, the Boston Bruins finishing up their road trip tonight in Edmonton against McDavid and company. We'll talk about that one next on First Shift. Got another tweet from Elliot Friedman. He's been busy today. And this one about Tyler Johnson. He is on unconditional waivers for the purpose of contract termination. Everyone from yesterday cleared. There's guys that go on and off waivers all the time. And so Tyler Johnson looks like his short-lived tenure with the Bruins is going to be over. Guy has had a really good career for somebody who was an undrafted player, was a star in Tampa. Smaller guy, has been kind of, you get beat up over the years when you play hard. And you're not the biggest guy. Was in Chicago for a while trying to get it going. We'll see if he can land somewhere else, but looks like he's on the outs in Boston.
Yeah, I mean, Boston trying to see if a veteran like that could fit into the lineup. Didn't work. I mean, hopefully he's well and he's able to find a spot or find somewhere to play. Seems like he still wants to play,
Yeah, he was such a good player with the
and he's a good veteran guy.
And he had the triplets. It was Kucherov, and Palat, and Johnson. They were really good that first couple of years there in Tampa.
I'm sure somebody will take a two-way on him or something, take a swing at him.
So we'll see how it goes there. But for the Boston Bruins, since the coaching change, things have been better for the Bruins. Yeah. This road trip was a little tricky. They had some tough L's there.
Not to start, but that 8-1
in Winnipeg and Seattle.
Delete that 8-1.
But they were able to rally now, beat the Canucks 5-1. That was a good performance, and an overtime win with the Pastrnak goal in Calgary. Finish up. Tough challenge tonight against the Edmonton Oilers. How do the Bruins want to approach playing the Oilers tonight? Because we know what the Oilers can do to you if they get going.
Well, rush. The Oilers are the best rush team in the NHL. They feed off the transition. You can't, and the Boston Bruins D isn't necessarily the fastest. Mm-hmm. They don't have the fleetest of feet.
Yeah, and they're still missing Hampus Lindholm. He's been out for the good part of the season.
Yeah, so don't feed the rush and you need, obviously I'm assuming Swayman's going to be in the net. He's the guy there. He needs to make sure those big, because you can't stop and shut down Edmonton defensively a whole night. You need a goaltender to make at least one or two. They're going to get one or two grade A's just from their skill level. You're going to give up a power play, and they're going to generate something. So you need him being the best. PK is always your goaltender, Swayman, but also he's going to need to make a big save at a big moment for sure, because otherwise it can go wrong in a hurry.
Swayman and Skinner tonight in goal. I want to tap into your knowledge of the Oilers. You played with that group. You know a lot of the people there. Darnell Nurse this year, everybody tells me, has been playing much better this year, much more consistently. What are your thoughts on that? What have you seen, from Nurse this year?
Yeah,
because he's a big money guy and he needs to play well. He's a second pair guy basically there, but they need him to be good, and he's been much better this year.
Oh no, he's been bleeping fantastic. So
there you go.
He's been very good. He's played within himself. It's interesting because his simplicity for him is, I think, his best tool. Because he is a great skater. He can play physical. He's got a good shot. But when he tries to do too much, you overlook those things. And you see the money. Everybody sees the money. Again, they can't take that contract back. Yes, he's making too much money. But the way he's playing right now has been very, very good. He's been an anchor on that back end. He's arguably, on most nights, been as good, if not better, than Ekholm. So he's been really good. He's been tasked with playing with, like, the Stetcher, the Emberson, or the Brett Kulak. They've kind of... That 4-5 and 3. Sorry, the 4-5-6 have been kind of getting thrown around with him, and he's been playing really good. He's been playing like a veteran, playing like a leader. He's done great work for them, and I think it's gone unnoticed. But what I say with Darnell is, when no news is great news.
Yeah.
When you're not hearing about him and no one's talking, that's when he's playing his best hockey, and that's the way he has to continue to play. Because now I do still think they need to go get a top 4 guy. They need somebody to play with him. But now that I've watched it, I thought he needed somebody to kind of, not carry him, but like lead the charge offensively. No, he just needs a complemented player that's going to let him go up in the rush. You know,
I thought Broberg was good with them in the playoffs.
He's great. Fantastic. Well, we know what happened there. The old huff her sheet.
Yeah.
And see you later.
See ya.
And I mean, I think that's more the Oilers mismanaging Broberg.
Yeah.
But I think he's been great, and I think they're definitely going to go get somebody, a Broberg-esque player, for maybe less money, or we'll see. But yeah, they've been good on the back end for most parts. You know, the only wild card has been Bush this year. He hasn't really. He's doing Bush things, but he just hasn't been producing at the same clip. So everybody's on him. But that's great. You don't hear anything about Darnell. He's playing great. So keep it going, Nursey.
There you go. There you go. It should be a good one tonight.
Love.
Oilers and Bruins out in Edmonton. Bruins looking to make it 3 in a row. When we come back, talk a little about Brady Tkachuk. He is going to be a star in another realm. We'll talk about that next on First Shift. All right, we got some news for you. This from the NHL. Back on the ice, off the record, and back for more. Season 2 of Face Off Inside the NHL premieres on Amazon Prime Video in 2025. Brady Tkachuk is going to be part of this. So we had a lot of Matthew Tkachuk last year.
So much Tkachuk.
Going to have more Brady Tkachuk this year. I think we're also going to have a little Keith Tkachuk in there again.
I'm sure.
Which I'm all for.
Yeah.
And we had all that Connor McDavid stuff from last year from the fun. That was pretty cool to watch that.
That was probably the highlight of it, was people seeing inside the lens of Connor McDavid and seeing the world through his eyes. I think was some people
especially
didn't expect.
in that moment, right?
Yeah.
The final.
Yeah.
So crazy. They're down 3, then they get to game 7.
Walk in. I love it. He's such a competitor, man. It's wild to see.
Who would you like from your playing career if it was back going on then? Is there one guy that would say, I mean, Joe Thornton is probably the easy answer. We're running out of time, but is there somebody that you would have liked to see behind the scenes?
Oh, yeah.
They were oddball.
I mean, Brent Burns all day.
Yeah,
I mean, Brent Burns with just to see what's in
the
his
backpack. Yeah, he's like Dora the Explorer.
He is.
He's got a backpack.
I mean, he used to have like toys on the plane. He was playing like a Pokemon game. Like he's crazy. I mean, he had a whole owlery. Yeah. When he was in Minnesota, he had wolves. Like,
he has a coffee machine in there or
he's
something crazy.
So interesting. It's wild. Yeah.
He is a character.
Yeah, character.
And he's had such a great career. Well,
pretty good.
Now, come on. Hey,
not as good as your career.
Well, man, I would disagree. All right. Thank you, Jason. Stay tuned. NHL Now is next. See ya.